Thanks for everyone who coming and joining the Project Mercury Alumni Spotlights. Today we have Marybeth Slocumb. She is from Civil Air Patrol. But before I destroy and debacle everything she does, I'll have her go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, so I'm Marybeth Slocumb. I am living right now in the Twin Cities area in Minneapolis. I am a member of Civil Air Patrol. I've been in CAP now for just over 10 years. And I got involved with Project Mercury in January of 2023. That cohort was my student experience.
Okay, sweet. That's awesome. So you mentioned your Project Mercury and your cohort back in 2021, 2023, correct?
2023, yes, sir.
And that was 2 years ago. Wow. So as you went through Project Mercury, what was the driving factor of why you wanted to join Project Mercury? And then, elaborate on some of the roles and how you evolved during your time in Project Mercury.
Okay, so the driving factor really for me to get involved in Project Mercury, it was uh, kind of a long trajectory. I joined Civil Air Patrol. I lived in Virginia, and then we moved to Colorado, and then now we moved to Minnesota. We're not a military family, but I've moved a lot, and I've seen the value of just expanding horizons, constructive conflict, kind of embracing ideas from everywhere and anywhere in order to overdress and overcome challenges. And there are some pockets within Civil Air Patrol, as anywhere, right, where you kind of tend to hit bureaucracies and the this isn't the way that we do things, or we've always done it this way. And Jeff DeGraff gave a keynote speech at our, I guess it was the 2022 national conference, and I was just thoroughly impressed by everything that he had to say. And I bought Innovation Code. I think I ordered it from Amazon while I was sitting in the audience, and I read it as soon as I got it. And I thought, okay, this is something I can totally get behind. And at that point, Civil Air Patrol was looking for members to send through Project Mercury. So I just happened to I got the luck of the draw, really. It was incredibly fortunate for me. And I've kind of taken it and run with it, but I've been very excited and very passionate about innovation and just embracing change, and not just for the sake of change, but that whole, is it useful, right? So it's got to be new and useful to actually be an innovation. And yeah, it was a very fortunate sort of set of circumstances that landed me in Project Mercury.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's awesome that you got to link up with hearing Jeff DeGraff and his words make you want to do it. As you look back on your cohort in 2023, what was one of your memorable moments that was like that aha light bulb, like, oh, I get this. And, because I know when we all start off that first week, we're like, what did we get ourselves into? I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose while running uphill, running away from the enemy. But what was your biggest moment that stood out for you?
Honestly, my biggest moment, okay, so Jumpstart Week, I think I was one of the only non-DoD personnel in the room, right? I was a stay-at-home mom, and yes, I volunteered with Civil Air Patrol, and I had, career experience pre being a stay-at-home mom. But I kind of felt like a fish out of water. I was like, what do I possibly have to offer this team? And during our jumpstart, we basically discussed it. I'm like, okay, my official role will be the team questioner. I will question everything so that we can make sure that we're really fleshing out our ideas and, kind of coming up with the best ideas. And I'll be the one to try to find holes and try to, because I don't understand a lot of maybe where we're coming from. So if we can explain it to me, then we're set. Um, being My team was also very collaborator heavy, very yellow heavy. So the aha moment for me was when I finally realized that no, it's okay. I can just have some self-authorizing behavior, and I'm going to go do this thing, and I'll come back and tell you guys what I did and what happened. And not necessarily waiting for that team consensus was really freeing, because there was that, I honestly, it was just a lot of uncertainty and self doubt on my part. But then when I realized that, oh, hey, I have something to contribute, and I'm just going to run with it. That was huge for me.
That's awesome. Speaking of running with it, you mentioned it earlier how you've moved around, but you're not a military family. You've been civilianized, but you've been around. You said Minneapolis, Virginia. Post Project Mercury, you know, what path by taking Project Mercury did it make you want to do it and moving forward? And I see with you said you were a stay-at-home mom. Now you're volunteer Civil Air Patrol. Now you're full time doing Civil Air Patrol and focused on certain areas. Can you elaborate how that evolution or change occurred post Project Mercury and how Project Mercury kind of tied into it? And yeah, from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So after my student experience, after my initial cohort with Project Mercury, I actually came back and I coached 3 times. And I learned something with every iteration. And it just so happened that Civil Air Patrol was starting to really look at, okay, we need to innovate, we need to adapt, we need to change, we need to kind of really strategically look ahead at our mission and the way that we're accomplishing our mission. And we need to bring innovation more specifically and strategically into our business plan and the way that we do things. So the director of learning in Civil Air Patrol, Jared Paragoy, was talking to the National Innovation Team at that point, and basically it morphed into, we need a national innovation officer. We need someone who would really lead the team in creating and executing a formalized innovation program within Civil Air Patrol. So we have almost 70,000 members. It's definitely not a small ask, but it again, I think because of my passion and really because of my experience and my training that I received through Project Mercury and my going back to coach and having that coaching experience, that I figured I'd apply for the position, and I was awarded the position.
Awesome. So as you've migrated through this evolution and now working in an innovation space in Civil Air Patrol, are there any like innovations that you're like super proud of that you when you stepped into them you're like, this isn't, I'm not sure, and then it worked? And then on the flip side, is there any how many slices of failure cake have you had to eat in the innovation space since you took over?
So, yes, and a lot. So, Civil Air Patrol actually has an incredible geospatial team, and honestly, they predate me as the National Innovation Officer, but that is one of our biggest innovations within CAP. One of the other things that we're doing is even the way that we're addressing innovation itself within the organization. Instead of having a specific team that does innovation, our goal is to go out and create as many innovators as we can. So basically, we have a national innovation cell, and what we're working to do is to get the national innovation cell to go out and duplicate, so running smaller teams through projects and running smaller teams through some workshops and getting them equipped with the tools of innovation so that they kind of understand the process. Initially, my thought was, we have wing conferences in CAP, where at, state level or region level, they members will come in and they'll have like a day or they'll have a weekend of trainings and seminars and things that will, just kind of educate them on what's going on in the program. And initially my thought was, wow, that would be a great way to get the word out about innovation. And I learned, big piece of failure cake was, if I call it an innovation seminar, I was not getting very many people. So I had to really kind of work with, okay, what's the best method of delivery? What is the best way to even promote this? Because unfortunately, I think a lot of people, and especially maybe in a very red organization, I think a lot of people see innovation as a buzzword, and it's not. It's the existence of Civil Air Patrol is an innovation in and of itself. We were congressionally chartered in 1941 when people who could not join the war effort decided that we need to get civilian aviators involved in the war effort, and if they can't serve, the normal route, then let's figure out how to get them involved. And we were doing coastal patrols, and we even sank a couple of German subs. So our very existence is an innovation. But a lot of people, when they hear that word, unfortunately, they think, oh, yeah, that's, you just want to change everything, or there's a lot of misconception. So my first piece of failure cake was assuming everyone was excited and energized by it as I was, and assuming that they understood it. And then overcoming it has just been it's been very slow, but it's been very strategically speaking to, okay, no, this is what it is. It's actually addressing the challenges that we see in new and creative ways. If it's useful, if it's new, that is an innovation. So let's figure out how to accomplish our mission with new and useful tools.
Okay, so I want to pull some words there you talked about. You mentioned earlier self-authorizing behavior when you're in the Project Mercury Jumpstart, and how you went off and did that one thing and said, hey, I'll come back to you. How have you taken that self-authorizing behavior and applied it to your new position as the innovation officer to kind of push those boundaries? Because you talked about how people are kind of, we hear those buzzwords, but how are you pushing that with your team to think outside the box or toss a grenade in that box and look at innovation from a different perspective, and telling them to self-authorize? Because that's one of the things in any type of red organization people don't, are like, struggle with.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if I should actually say this or not, but basically, as long as it's not a violation of regulations, do first and then ask for permission afterwards, uh yeah, there have been a few things that we've done where it's like, okay, let's try this, and that didn't really work, so we'll go back to the drawing board. One of the things that we're doing right now, I have, for example, a unit in one of our wings that wants to experiment with the way that we promote our cadet members, our youth members. And being a very red organization, I'm not entirely sure that our cadet programs will bite on that idea. But we're having a national innovation competition, and every idea that's submitted in the competition is going to be seen. It's going to have eyes on it by our OPRs, the Office of Primary Responsibility within the organization, and also other members. So some of it is a little bit of grassroots pressure, I guess you could say, and just doing the things. So I'm not, one of the things in my role is I'm not the gatekeeper for ideas. We're really trying to tell people, go out and do the things and then let us know, how, if you've got the training, you've got the ideas, you think you've got the solution, you've got the right challenge statement, like, go and do it and then let us know how it worked. And then we'll work together and we'll kind of tag team, and whatever didn't work, great. Those are fantastic lessons that we can take forward, and we'll know that didn't work. And maybe it didn't work in Florida, but it would work in Texas, or maybe it didn't work in Alaska, but it would work in Massachusetts. So, a really big part of it is kind of collating all of our information and all of our efforts and trying to be not siloed.
No, that's perfect. It kind of reminds me of remember when we went through the course of the shots on goal and the moonshots. Go forward and try it. Let's figure out what sticks, what doesn't stick. And if it works, cool. If not, it goes on the shelf of what didn't work, and let's move on from that one. No, that's awesome. So what advice would you give? Because you mentioned, from the Civil Air Patrol side of the house, but anyone, and stay at home mom, because a lot of people, when they hear the word innovation, they assume they have to be that creative mindset, the one that has to build the widget, build the innovation. What advice would you give to, say, young professionals who are aspiring to be the innovators, to be the leaders in these respective fields, or when they see a problem, solve it, kind of like your units that's talking about with the cadet promotion? What advice would you give to them?
Honestly, my biggest advice is be fearless and speak to your ideas. Everybody has something to offer. And there are going to be times when your ideas are not going to be appreciated. There are going to be times when maybe not everyone understands the power of constructive conflict. Not everyone understands that conflict can actually be really good as long as it's harnessed appropriately. So you're going to have conflict if you have ideas that are new, and that's okay. Don't take it personally. Understand that you have something to bring. Understand that maybe part of the challenge is that you're helping other people uncover their blind spots, and that's not comfortable for anybody, really. It's not comfortable for any of us to be like, oh yeah, I just totally don't think that way. I totally don't see that. But the more you can work through it, the better off your organization is going to be. And anytime you can contribute to the strength and the betterment of whatever organization or company or field you're in, then everybody gets better, everybody gets stronger, and everybody wins.
So as you reflect on your, I would say, what, 2.5 years of going through Project Mercury, how do you feel what the legacy and the empowerment or the what it's done for you as a person, and how the, I would call it, the ripple effects across your organization and those you come in contact? How do you feel that legacy is out there?
I feel like it's a pretty powerful legacy. It's really interesting because I actually had my daughter is in the Air Force Reserves, and she heard me talking about Project Mercury to the point where she actually participated in a cohort, and then she came back as a Project Mercury coach. So even not just professionally within Civil Air Patrol, but also personally, there have been ripple effects. And the legacy of Project Mercury, it's absolutely wonderful. If I feel stuck, I am a pretty hard. So when I took the IG gnome, I came up yellow blue, and it's really interesting though because when I'm on a deadline, I'm blue. I don't think I'm yellow at all. Like if I'm on a deadline and there's stress and pressure, my blue comes out very, very hard. So now I've learned I need to go call my friend over here who's a yellow, or um and I can do that because of the Project Mercury network. I've got incredible contacts that I can call and that I can reach out to, and that I know will have ideas, will have support, will have guidance. Because yes, I've been through it as a student. Yes, I've coached 3 times. I'm still not perfect. I will never know everything that there is to know. It's just by kind of keep iterating on it and keep practicing, and then recognizing when I fall short. And when I have that failure cake, I can call up a Project Mercury grad and say, hey, okay, this is what I did. What do you have for me? What advice, what guidance, what ideas? And I am never disappointed. Anytime I make that phone call, I always get some nuggets, some gold, something that I can go and take and just keep moving forward.
No, that's awesome. I want to say, this has been an insightful conversation, Mary Beth. I appreciate and thank you for the time to do this and share the perspectives. That's one of the biggest things that as alumni we always don't get to see, right? You guys, we point out it's a jumpstart week, and then it's 12 weeks of online, so you really don't have that truly fully to interact, to understand what's going on in that person's life, where their background is from, and what's going next for them. So, but I will say, your contributions for both Project Mercury and what you do with Civil Air Patrol, man, that is freaking awesome. I learned something new today. I didn't know Civil Air Patrol sunk some subs, so now I've got some homework to go do on my own. But as we wrap up here, and combine what you've done for Civil Air Patrol, Project Mercury, what would you say to anyone out there, both alumni or non-alumni, who watch this that are like, man, this is me. I never. How did she do that? Or how do I become Marybeth Slocumb? What would you say to them?
I would say be curious. Just be curious. Read Dr. DeGraff's books. Find like-minded people who actually want to learn innovation, who want to be innovative. There is a process to it. It is a wonderful process, but as long as you're curious and you keep asking questions, that's really that's your pathway.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for your time and participation and allowing us to have this back and forth conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's been a pleasure.